right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Aquarium Live from the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. My name is Amanda, and I'm so happy that you decided to join us today. Now, as we go on our adventure, we invite you to join us by texting us. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to participate in some of the questions that we are asking on the camera, you are welcome to text in to this number here, 562-286-1838. I don't believe we have anything that will be able to show up on the bottom of our screen, so I'll just try to get this out to remind you. So parents, if you're watching, you might want to write this number down in case you have anyone who wants to phone in and participate with us. Again, 562-286-1838. Now, if you are watching this at a later time, you are welcome to email and still participate with us by asking any questions that you have that come up to live at lbaop.org. So live at lbaop.org is an email address that you can use if you have questions and you're watching this at a later date. We can still respond to. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be talking today about adaptations. Now, an adaptation is something that an animal has that helps it to survive in its habitat. And so I thought it would be fun to invite our friend Captain Joe to join us today and see if he can help us out. So let's see if we can bring up Captain Joe on our screen. We'll see if we can get our connections working. Oh, there he is. Hey, Captain Joe. How you doing? Actually, what are you doing?
Wait, studio. So if the parrotfish doesn't use it, where?
Seems like he's a little confused. Joe, are you okay? Oh, you're okay. What are you doing?
What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm making sandcastles. You told me today to find an animal that makes sandcastles, and that was an easy one because I make exquisite sandcastles.
Yes, I can tell. But no, I said an animal that makes.
Well, why aren't we talking about parrotfish?
Perfect example. So let's go ahead and talk about this amazing fish right here, the parrotfish. Now, you'll notice he has kind of looks like a parrot. It's a beautiful animal. They live around coral reefs, and they actually feed on the coral reefs. Check that out. Now, if we take a closer look at their mouth, you'll notice that they have what looks kind of like the beak of a parrot, which is why they get their name. Doesn't that head kind of remind you of a parrot face? Well, they use that beak to help them get the coral and crunch off pieces of that coral. But it's not the hard coral that really they want. It's the soft part in between. They don't really use the hard coral skeleton at all. So, Joe, what do you think of that? Kind of interesting. Are you thinking about it still?
Wait, studio. So if the parrotfish doesn't use it, where does the hard coral go?
Okay, well, it's actually kind of gross. Are you sure you want to know?
Nope, just give it to me straight. Please tell me.
Okay, well, it actually doesn't use it because it becomes waste for the parrotfish. So when it's done eating, it becomes sand. Yeah, when it goes to the bathroom, it's pooping out sand, basically, is what's going on. So, Joe, are you okay with that? I told you it was kind of gross.
So I'm playing with parrotfish poo?
Yeah, but don't worry, it's okay, because I know, it's okay. These fish don't actually live around here in Southern California. They live in the islands around Palau, the areas, the coral reefs off the islands of Palau. So not quite local species, so you don't have to worry about them. They're parrotfish poop here in Southern California, but they do provide a lot of the sand for other tropical sandy beaches. If you've ever been to a nice white sandy beach, there's a good chance there could have been parrotfish poop in there, making that sand for you. Okay, so that's a pretty cool thing. Joe, are you okay knowing that information now? Does that
that's
kind of set your mind at ease?
So what you're telling me is that the beak of a parrotfish is actually an adaptation to eat very hard and tough objects. That is really, really cool.
It is really cool, but it's not the coolest thing about them. They can also make this mucus bubble that they sleep in at night so predators can smell them.
Mucus? Pajamas?
Yeah, pretty much.
that is a very good adaptation for protection. And now that I think about it, I think I know another animal that has a great adaptation for protection. Why don't you go ahead and meet me inside the aquarium?
All right, sounds like a plan. So while Joe goes and finds another animal, whatever he has in mind, to learn about adaptations, let's think a little bit more about what an adaptation is. So adaptations are things that not just animals have, but we have them too. In fact, you're using some of them right now. If you're using your eyes to help you see, that is definitely something that helps you to survive. If you're using your ears and you're listening to what we're saying, then that is also something that's helping you to survive. Now, we look very different from a lot of the animals that live in the ocean because, well, I can swim, but the fish are a lot better than swimming than I am because they've got fins that help them. And so those are adaptations that help that fish. You can see the fins on this fish here, this parrotfish. And what's really great about this picture is it shows you that mucus bubble that they make at night before they go to bed. So they have their nighttime routine. I don't know if they get a story read to them, but they get all snugged in their little mucus bubble bed. And they put this mucus bubble all around their body. And the greatest thing about it is it's not wasted because when they wake up in the morning and they stretch and they get out of bed, they actually don't have to worry about making their bed because they just eat it for breakfast. So they actually they eat this mucus bubble that's covering their body, and it provides breakfast for them and no waste, and they don't have to make their bed. How do you like that? Pretty cool, huh? Well, let's see if we can meet up with Joe and see if he's made his way into the aquarium yet and found any other adaptations that you might
Hello,
find
boys and girls. I am here in our warm water tropical exhibit looking for our next animal, the puffer fish. Now, you might be wondering what different types of adaptations a puffer fish has. If you take a very close look at its skin, you'll notice that there are very small spikes surrounding its body. Now, say an animal like a shark or something else wants to have a puffer fish for lunch, well, what that puffer will do is get a huge gulp of water, and it'll make those spikes stick out on its body and get very, very large. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's going to make a very appetizing lunch.
I don't know. Well, it is interesting. I agree that that's an interesting way, an interesting adaptation, how they use their
Why,
shape.
yes, we have an animal like that very close by. The puffers are big and round, but this animal that I have is very long and slender. We will talk about it right after you guys play a very fun game.
Oh, okay. I like games. I hope you guys like games too. So we've talked about how shape can be an adaptation for the animal with the puffer fish, but he's going to find another shape in the ocean that's also considered an adaptation. So not only getting big and puffy is an adaptation in shape, but also a slender size he was talking about. So we'll catch up with him later and figure out what that animal is that he has in mind. But for now, let's play a game. So we are going to have a puzzle. We are going to reveal a few squares, a few blocks of the puzzle, and then we're going to see if you know what this animal is before we reveal it. And if you would like to participate with us, you can text the number, getting your parents' permission first, children, 562-286-1838. If you would like to give us a guess as to what the animal is that we are going to be revealing behind these blocks. Okay, are you ready? Let's go ahead and see what we have. All right, so this animal, what kind of clues can we get from it? What kinds of adaptations, I wonder, does it have? So right here, this area is kind of an interesting color. It looks like it's kind of a pinkish color. So it's got some pink in it. It's also got some fading into kind of a blackish color back here, a little bit lighter in the front. And all of these sort of shapes kind of look like scales. So maybe an animal with scales. And then getting further back, what do you see here? Looks like part of almost like a fin. Oh, and you can see a little bit of the head right here, a little bit of pink, and it looks like it's got a black head. So maybe the head is changing color. So this is an animal whose color is not all the same on all parts of its body. But what type of environment does it live in? What is its habitat? It looks kind of dark here. I can see some of the blue water, it looks like in the background. But down here, it's kind of green. I don't think that this is a coral reef. So coral reefs are bright and colorful, like where the parrotfish lives. So I don't think this is going to be a parrotfish. It must live in a different habitat, maybe even a kelp forest. Can you think of any animals that live in a kelp forest that have pink and black and I don't know, maybe a little bit lighter colors too, but that have fins? Hmm. Oh. So I'm hearing some of you are guessing fish. Now, some of you did guess parrotfish, didn't you? But again, this is an animal that I'm going to give you a hint lives in a different habitat. So it lives in cooler water, like around a kelp forest. Now, if any of you have watched any of our other programs, you may have seen this fish. We actually have one in one of our exhibits here at the aquarium. It's called our Blue Cavern exhibit, which is modeled after a real dive site off of Catalina Island. But let's see if anyone else, did we get anyone who's named the species? Because you are right in saying it's a fish. You're absolutely right. I will give you that. And this is a tough one because this is not a normal name. Most kids don't grow up learning this name in a book if you're reading about fish. You might have heard of a goldfish before. You might have heard of a shark before, but maybe not this one. Let's see. No guesses yet. So we're going to reveal it. We'll take a look at this animal, and then I'll tell you what it's called. See a little bit more of its shape, just missing that one piece. Ah, and there it is. So this is called a California sheephead. So that is probably a new name for many of you. California being the state that we're in, and then sheephead. I don't know, does it look like a sheep's head to you? Doesn't really look like one to me, but I'll use my imagination and try to imagine it. But they do have this really dark head, so a male. This is a fish that's, I should say, becoming a male right here because he's got this dark head, a bright white chin. You can even see some little teeth in there. And he's got that pink in the middle and black at the end. So a California sheephead is a type of fish that looks a little bit different from male to female. And so this one has some of the coloring of the male, but they also, as they get bigger, the male will get a much bigger sort of head to him and not have the same body shape. Now, I'll also take a moment to answer some questions. Charlotte asked, do fish live in sand castles that they build? I love that question because that would be the coolest thing ever. I know when I've been to pet stores, I've seen cool little castles that it looks like the fish can swim through. But I don't believe any of the fish that we're talking about today live in any sand castles that they build. However, there is a very cool fish that does do some really cool things with the sand. And I wish I could show you a picture of it. I don't know if I can. But it is actually a type of a pufferfish. So we talked about how pufferfish will use their body shape as an adaptation. Well, pufferfish also have this other remarkable adaptation that allows them to kind of draw attention to themselves when they're looking for a mate. When they want to find a girlfriend, they want to say, look at this area. And they make these really cool formations in the sand. And they almost look like this big, beautiful, intricate circle all around them. You might be able to find a picture if you search for one on the internet. And we're going to see if maybe we can find one. My friend Dave is looking hard to see if we can pull this up. But they will move things around and move their fins just the right way and form that sand to make beautiful, beautiful designs that are very attractive to other pufferfish looking for a mate. Sophia wants to know, why do male sea lions have the bump and what is it for? Oh, so I don't know if have we seen any pictures of sea lions yet? Let me get back to that question in just a second, Sophia, because I think we might have a picture now of that. Ooh, yeah, that beautiful pattern here. Look at this. So this, believe it or not, is made by a fish, a little puffer fish. I don't remember exactly what species name it is, but this is made by a fish. Isn't that amazing to think that a fish can do something that intricate and that beautiful? It's like a perfect circle That's a better circle than I could draw with my hand myself. If you look really carefully, that thing right there, that's the fish. That's the fish that made this. So that one little fish is able to make these long designs, these beautiful designs in the ocean floor. So I think that's a pretty cool adaptation too. Okay, so Sophia, getting back to the sea lions. I don't know if we have any sea lion pictures right now that we can pull up, but the sea lions also get, I mentioned that these sheephead get a big bump when they're males. They get a bump on their head, but sea lions also get a big bump on the top of their head. It's called a sagittal crest, and it's actually part of their skull. So if I was to look at a skull of a sea lion, which I don't think I have any in here right now, you'd actually see this ridge on the top of their head, and that's where their big jaw muscles will attach to give them a nice strong bite, whereas the females don't have them. So that big bump on their head is to help them with their big strong bite and to look more like strong and tough as a sea lion. All right, well, let's go ahead and check back in with Joe again. I think Joe is going to meet us somewhere. Let's see.
Welcome back, boys and girls. We have our next animal here, a very small animal from our garden eel exhibit. Now, these little eels use their long, slender body to hide in the sand. They also have great color to camouflage, including 2 black spots on their backs. These spots are meant to look like eyes to scare away predators. These little eels have much larger relatives found in different habitats, like the moray eel found in our southern California waters and the honeycomb eel found in tropical habitats. All of them use their long ribbon-shaped bodies to hide and find food. Garden eels emerge out of their homes to grab small animals as they drift by.
Wow, so those are some, aren't these cute? I think these are such cute little animals, these cute little eels. So those are some interesting ways how our animals in the ocean use their shape and adaptations. And maybe if we can ask Joe if he could maybe help us out with finding some other ones, because we have more than just animals that live in the ocean here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. We also have other animals that live around the ocean. So not necessarily in the ocean, but nearby. And they're affected by the ocean, and it affects their climate that they live in. So let's see if we can get Joe back up here again. Let's just, oh, actually, you know what? Let's hold off on calling Joe right now, and let's see if we can take a look at how we care for some of our animals that live both inside the ocean and outside the ocean. So here's the Molina Animal Care Center. This is where our veterinary care team is able to do really cool procedures on all of our animals. Some of our animals get regular checkups. Some of our animals only have to come here for something like if they needed a surgery. Did you know we can do surgeries on fish? We can do surgeries on sharks. We can do surgeries on just about any animal we have here. And we can use all sorts of really cool equipment to help us do x-rays and to look inside of them and see how the inside of the animal looks. And rather than me just telling you about it, let's go ahead and meet my friend Shara, who works here, and she can tell you a little bit more and maybe even give us some examples and show us about some of the work that she does. So let's meet and check in with her.
Welcome, Ocean Rangers. My name is Shara Seals. I am a veterinary technician here at the Molina Animal Care Center, our veterinary hospital for the Aquarium of the Pacific's animals. I work with Dr. Lance Adams, our veterinarian. A veterinary technician is a fancy term for an animal nurse. That's what I do here. And today, we're going to look at Heidi, one of our Magellanic penguins. She needs a physical exam. This is Heidi. This is one of our Magellanic penguins. We're going to do a physical exam on her today. We use this is a stethoscope. We use this to listen to her lungs and her heart. This is an ophthalmoscope. We look at her eyes. And this is a thermometer. We have to take her temperature. Heidi's being very good. We look at her feathers to make sure they're in good quality so that she's able to thermoregulate, which means keeps her warm while she's swimming in the water. We look at her beak and her nostrils, and we even look at her feet. And we feel her belly to make sure there's nothing hard or anything out of the ordinary. Well, it looks like Heidi is in good health. She's pretty happy. Thanks for joining us, boys and girls. See you next time.
All right, so that was really fun to see Shara working with one of our penguins. And I think it's so much fun to watch the penguins as they're swimming around under the ocean with our web cameras. You can actually view those at home sometime too. You can go to our website and look at our webcams and watch the penguins swimming in their habitat. But these are animals that, like I said, they do live in the ocean. They can also come out on land. But let's check in with Joe and see if he can find us some other animals here at the aquarium that live out of the ocean all the time. So let's see. Can we pull up Joe? What do you think about that, Joe? We've seen how animals use their adaptations in the ocean, but we know that animals here at the aquarium outside the ocean have them too. Could you help us?
That sounds like a great idea. I've always wondered about some of our animals in our outside exhibits. Why don't you go ahead and meet me in Lorikeet Forest in a little bit?
All right, Lorikeet Forest. Now this is going to be fun because this is not an area where we have a webcam. So if you haven't visited the aquarium before, this is something you don't normally get to see. So I'm excited that Joe's going to be heading out there and we'll have a camera so you can see some other animals that call the Aquarium of the Pacific home. But in the meantime, I have a couple other questions that I wanted to answer, or at least one, and this is from Emmy. So Emmy said, are California sheephead found outside of California? That's a good question because their name is just California sheephead, right? Well, they are actually found from Monterey, California, all the way down to the Gulf of California, which is actually part of Mexico. So yes, they are found outside of California, but their main range, their main area that they hang out is in California. But great question. Thank you for asking, Emmy. All right, let's see if we can check in with Joe. Let's see if he's out at Lorikeet Forest.
Well, hello, boys and girls. I have found my way to Lorikeet Forest, and you will never believe it, but I just made over 100 brand new best friends, and they're all called lorikeets. Now, lorikeets are special parrots found in Australia and New Guinea, and they can be found in fruit trees in the rainforest because they love to eat pollen, nectar, and fruit. In fact, they have a very special adaptation found in their mouth to help them lick up fruit juice and pollen, and it's a hairy tongue. Interestingly, lorikeets do very well eating fruit, but unlike some other parrots, they can't eat seeds.
Wow, so that is a pretty interesting adaptation. How would you like to have a hairy tongue? Oh, I don't think I'd like it. But they have these little bristles on their tongue. You can kind of see it on this one. His mouth is open, but right on the edge of their tongue, they have these little hairy bristles that they can use to help them get the nectar from the fruits and the flowers that they like to munch on. So they actually just have, for the most part, a liquid diet, and they'll chew up their fruit and suck all the juice out, and then they'll spit out all the pulp. I don't know. Do you guys like to drink orange juice with the pulp or without it? I don't know. These birds don't like it. So they are a pulp-free orange juice sort of bird. They would spit it out. So we have talked about different adaptations that different animals have, but I want to see if you remember what the really cool adaptation about the pufferfish is. If you remember, they actually have a few, but we have a question to ask, and I think we can pull up a picture of our pufferfish behind me. What adaptation does a pufferfish use? So if you've been watching this and you would like to let us know, I'm going to give you the opportunity one last time. Do not call that number. We'll do this. If watching live, text 562-286-1838, and that will be a text that you can let us know right away. And my friend Dana here can shout out the answers, and she'll let me know what texts are coming through. And if you're watching this at a later time, you can email live@lbaop.org. and you can contact us with any questions you have. So now let's go ahead and see. I'm still going to stand here because we have this other phone number that will not work if you use it. Or actually, I guess it will work if it comes through to our studio, but not the best one to use. So, A, is it long and slender? Does the pufferfish have a long and slender body? Is that the adaptation that the pufferfish uses? Because that's an adaptation we talked about. But you know what? I don't remember seeing a pufferfish that looked like that. Or is it B? They have a mucus bubble that surrounds them and protects them, maybe from their smells getting out. Was that the adaptation that a pufferfish has? Or is it C? Having spikes on its body. Now, I'm going to see who can come up with the correct answer. We'll see if... Okay, Dana's telling me that it puffs out its spikes to scare animals away that want to eat it. Do we have a name on that one? That was Paige. Good job. Oh, Sage. Sorry, Sage. Great job. In fact, I'm even going to show you this. I have what a real pufferfish all puffed up can look like. So this is really difficult for me to hold. Now, this is not one of our pufferfish, but this was donated to the aquarium so we can use it for educational purposes. And when we show this to people, we usually don't take it out like this. We carry it in a little container because it's so pokey and it's so hard to hold on to, even if you're being careful. But that's right, they can puff up really big and they have all those spikes that stick out, because that is definitely not something I would want to eat if I was hungry. That looks way too painful to eat. So good job, Sage, and all the rest of you who knew the answer to that question. This is how the pufferfish uses that adaptation. It will actually puff itself up, taking in air or water into its stomach and getting really, really big. Now, if you were to look at the skeleton of this animal, it doesn't have the regular rib bones that other fish have. That would make it, well, it wouldn't be able to do that if it had those. And look at how cute they are. This is like a whole big, I don't know, a school of pufferfish. I think they might actually have a different name too. I don't remember what it is. But this big group of puffers here, right now, they're not inflated. They're all kind of their regular size. And their pufferfish little spines are all sticking down, all facing down. But when they get really big, they can puff out, and that would be an unappetizing lunch. Let's see. Anais wants to know, why are lorikeets so colorful?
I hope, boys and girls, that you had fun today.
Oh, that's a great question.
We've learned a lot of really crazy...
Oh, we've got lots of cool adaptation talk. We're going to forget about that right now. And we're going to talk about the colors of the lorikeet. So maybe if we can pull up a picture again of a lorikeet. We'll give Dave a chance to see if he can find that. But the colors of the lorikeets actually help it to camouflage. Now think about where would it be able to camouflage with all those bright colors. It's called a rainbow lorikeet for a good reason. It has a lot of rainbow colors on its body, lots of colors. And so they live in beautiful areas with lots of bright flowers. They live up in the treetops, so that's why most of their body is green. If you look down on the top of the bird, if you were behind them, you would notice their back is mostly green, and that helps them to blend in with the tree branches that they would be hanging out in. So here's a picture from our website. This one here is what we call a green-naped lorikeet. So they have green, so you can't really see how green they are on the back side of their body, but they do have this beautiful blue head, a little bit of yellowing here, and then the stripes and the green on the underside down here. Now we actually have a few different kinds of lorikeet subspecies in our lorikeet forest, but this is one of the most popular ones that we see. Oh, there's also the Edwards lorikeet here, which has a yellow belly. And then we have the Forson's lorikeet that almost looks like the green-naped lorikeet, but notice he doesn't have the tiger stripes on him. So yeah, very, very similar, yet if you look carefully, you'll notice those differences. So I hope that one time you're actually able to come by the aquarium and visit them for yourself. But if not, it was a special treat today that we got to go into lorikeet forest and see what those birds look like. So I'm glad you were able to see that today. Well, we are out of time and we need to get going. But thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to Joe, wherever he is, for helping us out as well. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And again, feel free to contact us anytime at the aquarium using this email address, live@lbaop.org. We'd love to hear from you. So have a great day, everyone. Bye.